Hello again and welcome back. So lately, it seems I can't go a day or an hour or an afternoon without somebody talking about Canada becoming the 51st state. Everywhere you go, on the media, it doesn't matter where you look or where you listen, this is what people are talking about. I personally don't see it happening. It's such a far-fetched idea. It's just a negotiating tool the U.S. is using right now to get, access to resources and get a better trade deal. But regardless, I want to look at how that may affect real estate and what it might do to prices and whatnot. So let's check out some recent posts and some data to see kind of where we stand and where we could stand in the future. So first, I want to start off with this post from Shazzy. Again, great content. Shazzy's got the best content out there when it comes to real estate and kind of economic stuff. But this was a pretty interesting one, and this was from a Reddit post, I believe, here. So he says, Canadian grad thrives in the U.S. with $70,000 a year job, 3 vacations yearly, while peers back home struggle with $40,000 per year jobs, debt, and no prospects. How did the gap get so wide? And this is what this person supposedly posted. Now, I don't know if this is true, but again, this is what somebody posted on one of these Reddit threads or subreddits, whatever it is here. So just wanted to give perspective of a Canadian American that recently graduated. So I graduated last year in a business economics program with multiple internships and couldn't find anything in Canada. Finally decided to just start applying in November to U.S. jobs as I don't need a visa. And within a month, I had 4 job offers, and I took the highest offering, $70,000 US. That's more than $100,000 Canadian, in case you were wondering. As a consequence of this ability to move to the States, I'm living a middle-class life, taking 3 international vacations per year, saving about $2,000 per month, and gearing up to buy a detached home in a safe, large city in a moderate blue state. Life couldn't be better. So I don't know, blue state, red state, I guess. I don't know what that matters, but regardless. My classmates and friends, on the other hand, most of them are unemployed, while others are working retail or manual labor jobs. The most exceptional of them are working jobs paying between 40 to 45,000 Canadian per year and are extremely grateful for it. They can't even afford to pay their rents and are either getting help from parents or driving themselves up more into debt. It blows my mind how, because of my mother's U.S. citizenship, my quality of life can be so much different than my peers. What happened to Canada? It wasn't always like this. Even a decade ago, the quality of life difference among young people was roughly similar. So there you have it. This person is claiming such a better life in the U.S., higher wages, more affordable living. And this is no surprise because we hear about this and we see charts about this a lot lately in the last few years, especially. But let's check a couple of them out now. All right, so here's the first one here. This was actually from November 3rd, 2021, this post here. The biggest difference between the Canadian and U.S. housing market, in my eyes, in the U.S., income and house prices have moved more or less in line. In Canada, oof, the chart is painful. Another great chart set from Doyle at Macquarie. So starting with the states here, U.S. real house price versus real disposable income from 1975 to 2021 is the last data here, Q2 2021. And yeah, you can see disposable income rises and the U.S. House prices rise with it. You can see there that big hump on the blue was the great financial crisis. So yeah, it's again, it makes sense, right? Prices are rising and wages are rising, disposable income's rising with them. And now you get to the Canadian real house prices versus disposable income. And it looks like around 2003 or 4 or something, we really separated. And the house prices just took off and the disposable income stayed the same. And this was because of course, inflation on houses and everything else. But taxes maybe played a role in that. But yeah, like our income is flat. And again, I've seen many of these charts, so this is not a surprise to me or many of you that are watching. But yeah, we're getting destroyed here in Canada, while in the U.S., yeah, their house prices versus income is very achievable still. And their house prices, mind you, are not cheap either. Their average house price is $501,000 as of, I think, Q3 2024. And our average house price is equivalent to about $475 US. But again, our incomes aren't nearly as high, so it makes the burden of owning a home even much more of a problem in Canada. Actually, I just did a post about that. Yeah, average home price in the USA was $501,000, obviously US dollars, Q3 2024, and this was from the Fred data. which is one of the biggest data center in the world, I believe, for this kind of stuff. And the average house price in Canada, and this is from the Korea stats, was $680,000 as of December, a little bit less, actually $676, I believe. That's about $474 US dollars. And just to touch on that again, just a little bit further here, that we're going to dive into this just to kind of get some more data on it. I'm just not just going to show you one chart here, but Canadian home prices widely outpace disposable income. This is not the case in the US. The reason is simple. Proportionately, we take in 4 times as many immigrants as the U.S., and that's just counting permanent residents. So a different take on it here. And this was just posted July 21st, 2024, but let's check out this chart here. And yeah, home prices in Canada have vastly outpaced incomes. And yeah, again, the U.S., and this is a little bit more recent, so this goes to 2023 now. And you can see, of course, prices have come down in Canada there, but our income, it's been relatively flat on the income or on the incline there, just like the States. The States had very similar growth in wages, but our prices just took off way more. And of course, U.S., they make more money regardless. So yeah, this is, again, just more data and more charts here to kind of back up what I'm saying. And lastly, on this subject, we have home affordability in the 25 largest cities in the U.S. and Canada. So we have them all grouped together here. So yeah, you can look at this chart here, and you'll see the little numbers here under home price. So they have numbers 1, 2, and stuff. So for San Francisco, that means it's the most expensive homes. And for a gross median household income, they also have the highest income. So San Francisco there, what is it, 5th on the list, $1.14 million for the average or median home price, and the income is $134,000 US dollars. This is all US dollars, by the way. So when you compare those home prices to the income ratio, Vancouver, they are 4th for home prices out of all these 25 cities. And they're not even in the top 10 when it comes to gross median household income. So $66,000 US is the gross household income. And yeah, look at they're not even in the top 10, but they're the most unaffordable when it comes to that price to income ratio. Next is Toronto, again, not in the top 10 for incomes, household income, $78,000 or $71,000 US. And they are 5th when it comes to the average house price. So yeah, that ratio is way off. Then you get into Los Angeles. They are 2nd for house prices and 10th on the list for income. So pretty unaffordable there. And a bunch of U.S. places here. Montreal's down there a good bit. They are not in the top 10 most expensive homes, and they're not in the top 10 most or highest incomes. So, it's mediocre there. Not great, though. And then look at all these other states or places, cities to live. So, yeah, Canada's getting top spots on this worst affordability. And yeah, the incomes are just nowhere to be seen and any of these are not in the top 10, right? They're all U.S. that are in the top 10 incomes. So yeah, pretty bad score there. And this is why Canadian real estate seems so expensive. We don't get paid a lot, and real estate's super expensive. Look here again. 4th and 5th on the highest priced real estate, Vancouver and Toronto. And Montreal, okay, they're not in the top 10, but they're in the top 25 for affordability problems. So anyway, that is where Canada stands right now. So when you're looking at real estate, it probably would make sense to join the U.S., but again, it's not going to happen. There's so much involved in doing that. But people look at the dollar and they say, well, if I can get a Canadian dollar and trade it for an American, well, this is a great deal for me, and we can have affordable real estate or income levels. Our incomes would rise. They'd be even if they didn't rise, they'd be in U.S. dollars, so it would buy you more. But again, it's just so far-fetched, that idea, but I thought I'd entertain just some basic charts on it just to see where we would stand. And of course, yeah, it would be in our benefit. Now just into some other regular news stories I picked up over the week. But again, this is again to do with the U.S. here and how things are really playing out right now with the dollar. And yeah, I saw this. Actually, I saw somebody else on YouTube last night. There was a video from a realtor from Florida talking about this. And CP24 just happened to post something today on it. People are panicking. Snowbirds rush to sell Florida homes as loony tanks. And I'm not going to go into the story here and open it up. But what is happening is our dollar is so bad that these snowbirds that are living in Florida right now, they're paying their HOA fees and their insurance, and it's, it was $600-700 for the HOA or their condo fees, and now it's over $1,000 because of the exchange rate. So they're getting killed. The cost of living there is astronomical, especially when you're paying in Canadian dollars, and insurance. And there's special assessments on these buildings too. So there's a lot going on in Florida real estate, and Florida real estate is expensive to maintain on a monthly basis for Americans. But when you're Canadian now, with the price of that dollar, they're fleeing there, and they're going to places like Mexico and other places where they're getting a better deal. But yeah, just Florida's just becoming too unaffordable, and the market is now being flooded with snowbirds trying to sell their Canadian real estate. So this one was just posted by Caitlin Lee, CPA, CA, Realtor, and she's got a lot of things going on here. The hurt is just beginning. Used to be just a handful, but now you can take your pick on assignments where the seller of their pre-con contract is willing to lose their entire deposit, 15 to 20%, not an insignificant amount of money. So yeah, this is true. So there's always been a lot of assignments recently, but not the ones where the seller is willing to lose their entire deposit. And these deposits are hefty deposits because these builders weren't stupid, right? They're like, we want hefty deposits because they know you're paying for their building to be built, and they want skin in the game from these buyers. So now they're like offering, they're like, here, take my whole deposit, I'll lose it, and you can have this $700,000 unit for $500 or whatever the case may be. But she's saying she's seeing tons of these now. Now I don't track them personally. I'm not in the GTA. I don't do pre-con or condo sales for the most part. But yeah, this lady here does, and she is seeing this escalate. So another little sign of the times here, just posted on January 24th. Jasper right now, okay, Jasper, they had a big fire there this year. Rally against the province's decision to withdraw funding for interim housing. And yeah, listen to what these guys are saying. It's a short clip here, 27 seconds. So pretty simple message. What do we want? Housing. When do we want it now? Like, these people are rallying in the streets, just housing. Like, this is what we want, housing. Like, they're not demanding like lower rents. They're just like, give us housing. We want interim housing. Craziness. And here's another one here from Shazzy, January 26th. Breaking, rental prices are cratering all over Ontario. 2 years ago, this Mississauga condo leased for $3,900. Today, it's stuck on the market at $3,000 after successive price drops and no takers. So there it is. Again, I don't even know. I get in trouble when I show this kind of stuff, but I didn't post it. This is just another post I'm looking at here. $900 drop in rent in Mississauga. So $3,900, and now it's $3,000. Like, that's a big drop. And in Quebec, bonjour Quebec, Daniel Foch recommended rent increase for 2025 hits historic high in Quebec. Rental board sets rate at 5.9%, the highest in 3 decades. So again, as inflationary times are not over yet, 5.9% for the recommended yearly rent increase guideline. Ontario for 2025, it's 2.5%, and I believe it was the same last year at 2.5%. But Quebec sees the highest in 3 decades, 5.9% rent increases coming to a lot of people in Quebec right now. Yeah, wow, that's huge. All right, now check out this one from Bloomberg Wealth here. Brookfield. So who's Brookfield? Don't I know that name? Isn't somebody involved with Brookfield in Canada right now? I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you know who that is. But Brookfield is nearing a deal to buy 3,800 single-family rentals for about $950 million to an acquisition of startup Divvy Homes, according to a person familiar with the matter. So again, I'm not going to open this article, but I did read it. So that's about $250,000 a home. Now, this is in the U.S. They're doing this. So it's not in Canada. So $250,000 U.S. a home, $950 million, 3,800 homes. And what Divvy does is Divvy does a rent-to-own option. So they buy these homes, and then you go in and you rent to own them. Now, if you've ever done a rent-to-own or if you know about them, I don't think they're in a tenant's best interest most of the time, because what happens is they'll say, here's a house for $2,200 a month. Now, if you want to do a rent-to-own, we're going to set a closing date in the future, say 3 years from now. And, with that, you can save up and you can own it for this price. We're going to set the price now. And you have like the first right of refusal to buy this home. Well, maybe they'll say, well, if you up your rent to $2,300 a month, we'll credit you $200 towards your down payment every month. So you get to save this down payment with the owner as a credit type system. And then they say, well, if you up your rent to $2,400, so what they're doing is creating cash flow for themselves. $2,400, we'll give you $400. So they're doubling your incentive every time you go up. They'll give you $400 a month towards that down payment, and then in 3 years you get to close on it. If you don't close in that 3-year period or whenever you negotiate that closing date, if you don't close on it, you lose all that saved up down payment and you don't get the house. So it's anything can happen in that time frame. So it's kind of like gambling, or it's kind of like buying futures or buying a pre-construction home, right? You don't know what's going to happen. What if that home is worth less, or you don't have a job? You lose all that credit, and you've been paying extra rent the whole time to get it. So again, very risky, and I don't recommend it. But again, this is in the States, and this is what this company does. But again, Brookfield, big investment firm there that, we know somebody associated with that in Canada right now. They are buying up these homes, and they're single family. These aren't apartment buildings. Like investors and investment companies, sure, if they want to buy an apartment building, that's fine. But when you're buying single family homes, taking away market share from end users, I have an issue with that, and they shouldn't be doing it. Get the corporations out of single family homes, unless they want to build them and sell them to us. Other than that, don't be buying up our stock and our inventory. All right, so this week we had some good drama on X here from Daryl. He's not a realtor, he's a developer, and some other people. But Daryl's, he's kind of bullish. I was on his show, nice guy, no problem with him. I'm not here to make fun of the guy. But it was interesting to see the exchanges back and forth here because we're having some differing opinions. But this was the 23rd of January here last week. Daryl Frankfurt says, sorry, but rents are not crashing. Rents on shitty apartments might be. Desirable rental units are getting over asking. I know of 2 that happened yesterday. Some people are desperate for a nice place to rent. And he called some people out there, Ben Rabideau and Daniel Foch and Ron the mortgage guy. And he probably is somewhat right on this. Like, nice places, even in the worst markets, they always do well, whether they're for sale or for rent. And I tell people this all the time. A nice place will sell in any market. And again, when you're renting a place, you'll be able to rent it no problem. The problem are those cookie cutter or shoebox condos, and they're going to sit and they're going to lose, like that one place, $900 year over year. But again, he's talking about a niche market here, and it's kind of hard to judge the market by just that one set of condos that are nice niche high end stuff or whatever he's talking about here. But of course, Ron Butler. Well, he called out Ron Butler. So Ron Butler, gets pipes up back to him there. Hey, Daryl, very sorry for your real estate business had gone in the crapper. But please, promoting misinformation to grasp at commissions never really looked good. And Dan goes back. WTF is this, Ron? I don't make commissions. Want misinformation? It happened yesterday. Facts. So again, they're both right, but Daryl's being very specific, and Ron's been kind of more general about the market. So it was. And anyway, there's another one here that I kind of piped in on a bit too. And this is more about the Bulls and the Bears going back and forth. And who knows, right? I know which way I think the market's going to go. But, Daryl here, he's entitled to his opinions. But, so again, this is on the 26th now. He's still, going on about the thing. The Toronto market is back, baby. Sorry, real estate bears and Anon accounts. I guess I'm the real estate bear for sure. Maybe I'm the Anon account too. There are bidding wars in Scarborough and multiple rental units in multiple Toronto locations going for over asking right now. It feels like the fear phase to me. So a lot of sarcasm in there, and he calls out Shazzy Goalie, Market Mania, my buddy Luke there, Daniel Foch, and so anyway, so I get involved in this one. Am I going to have to pull some stats on this one, right? And I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong, but I want to know, right? This is boots on the ground live data. This is TK. TK is the other guy on his podcast with him. I was on the show, of course. And my daughter this week. Go pull the stats, right? So I pulled the stats. This is what I do. Pie charts of the last 7 days. Under listing seems to be the ongoing strategy in the GTA. So they underlist a price and they say, I got 10 offers. Well, because it was listed like $300,000 or $400,000 under asking price or under sale price. Data tables the first 7 days. Anyway, I know what I said here. So this was yesterday. It's the 28th today. So this is the 27th. I pulled all the sales in the Toronto area. I separated them condo and freehold just to see, okay, what's happening there. So 75.5% sold below asking for the last 7 days and 19.4% over asking. And then asking price was 5% or so. And then we look at the freehold here. So we have the freehold. Freehold, of course, did a lot better. Now, again, we're not talking about prices going up or down here. This is just over asking, out asking, or below asking. But the problem is when a place is worth 1.3 million, you list it for $1 million to get multiple offers. It doesn't mean the market's going up. It just means you got over asking. And how much or how many of those offers? What's the breakdown of those offers? Are those offers, are they all at 1.3 million and someone paid 1.305 or something, or are they a lot of them at 1.1 and only one or two are close to the actual sale price? And that's the thing, you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. So anyway, here's the freehold. So below asking 55.7%, asking 8.6%, and over asking 35.7%. So of course there's activity going on in right now in the Toronto market, and of course we're getting into February, which is a very big increase traditionally year over year. We see January to February is the biggest increase. And you can see this here on this table here. So here it is, last year, 952,000, and this year up until the 27th, 975. So about 3% or 2.5% or so year over year increase. But look at last year. So from January to February, we have this huge increase, $120,000 in 1 month. So we're going to see the same thing this year. We're going to see this big increase from January to February, and everyone's going to say, oh, the market's going crazy and it's back, baby. And so this is why I disagree with Daryl, not because just my own opinion. I look at the stats and I say this is normal for this to happen at this point in the year. Okay, and lastly, let's hear from our housing minister. He's been, a month or so. He's been the housing minister. I can't exactly remember when, but he's just got installed into the housing minister role after there was a big cabinet shuffle there. So I think maybe almost 2 months at this point. But let's hear what he has to say. I did see some more announcements with Housing Accelerator Fund up in Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie or something. But again, this is like old news kind of stuff. I don't know what's really going to happen with that Housing Accelerator Fund at this point. But here's a video. I'm probably not going to play it all. I'll probably cut a bunch of it out there, but I'll get to the important parts and see what he has to say and kind of what he's doing or what's happening with him as housing minister, because this is pretty important, especially if you're looking to ever buy a house in Canada. But anyway, he says we can deliver the communities that Canadians deserve while treating vulnerable people with concern, dignity, and respect. Here's how I'm thinking about addressing encampments and ending homelessness. All right, so this is going to obviously be about ending homelessness and encampments as opposed to the majority of Canadians, which are middle class that actually need homes. But anyway, let's hear what he has to say real quick here.
Ending homelessness and addressing encampments needs to be a top priority for all governments, including my own. Recently, we delivered a positive federal contribution to these efforts.
We committed $250 million over 2 years to better address encampments in budget 2024. And I'm here to tell you that we've got deals in place now with almost every province and territory. And in the 2 cases where a provincial deal wasn't reached, we've secured deals with municipalities directly.
In Ontario, that means 10 municipalities have agreed to cost match our contributions. And in Saskatchewan, Regina and Saskatoon have made deals with us. This is progress.
Okay, well, I don't really have the attention span to watch that because this is again, their top priority, he said, is addressing homelessness. Well, I think there was 35,000 homeless people or something. It's not the majority of Canadians. The majority of Canadians are middle-class, hardworking people. This is what I want to focus on. Homelessness is always an issue, but it shouldn't be the top priority. The top priority should be the middle-class, hardworking people, and, maybe next in line is the homelessness. But anyway, let's see what else he's done because I don't have the attention span to watch that. I know what it's about. So here he is talking about we'll partner with any community willing to end restrictive zoning, speed up the planning process, and make public land available for housing, even where the local MP is invisible or opposed to the Accelerator Fund. Okay, here he is supporting my colleague in Sudbury to get homes built faster, to more affordability through the use of public land. $16 million to Greater Sudbury through the Housing Accelerator Fund. Again, more Sudbury back in the thing. So same thing, $60 million to Sudbury. Promoting Mark Carney. It's time to build. I don't know what he's talking about building here. An opportunity to shape our politics away from slander and towards substance. This is why I'm supporting Mark J. Carney. Okay, nothing about housing there. Thrilled to introduce. So he hosted Mark Carley. This guy does Nate Erskine Smith. He does a podcast to Uncommon or something. Kind of a conflict of interest, if you ask me. I don't know if he's getting paid from YouTube for that, but using his political platform to kind of host these different people. Mark Carney's been one of them, and he did host them prior to Mark Carney announcing his engagement to run for PM. But again, he's I guess he's not doing any housing there. He's hosting Mark Carney. There we go. He's talking about the U.S. here and 51st state stuff. Let's see here. Reminder that the long-standing relationship between Canada and the U.S. is unique in the world. It is the most important relationship our two respective countries have. We should be building on that success, not undermining it. Okay, whatever. Well, how about the houses? I should be building houses. So yeah, just more like nothing really substantive here. He can't do anything. There's no parliament, right? So he could just talk about stuff. So nothing really of substance, nothing that's really happening. Just talking, making it look good, making it look like he's doing something. And I don't blame him. What can he really do at this point? But then we have this. So as he was hosting Mark Carney, I guess there was like a press conference with the opposition, Melissa Lantsman there. And yeah, it was very odd, but it kind of just shows you, kind of what he did or who he is. And he was kind of, I don't know if it was anxiety that made him do this, but yeah, check this out. This is pretty insane with what happened. He pretty much photobombed or, crashed this interview here. But yeah, there's a lot of people posted this, but it seems like the new Canadian housing minister is another narcissist who thinks he can just interrupt a CBC interview with Melissa Lantsman. So yeah, check this out. This is kind of odd. I don't know what he was thinking.
The housing minister himself who interrupted Lantsman. Just take a look.
I think that Canadians deserve answers. I think Canadians.
Welcome you to BCC store.
Thank you. I want to know what you promised Mark Carney.
I'm going to buy you a drink.
Perfect. We want to know what Mark Carney promised Mr. Erskine Smith for his endorsement today. So I hope that you asked him. I hope that you ask him these questions. I hope that you get the answers today. I'll take your questions.
I'm telling you, he promised me nothing.
So giving an interview, okay, I think she was in his riding, but they don't have any parliaments to discuss these issues right now, so they have no question period, so they have to go and make their own kind of thing. But so he comes out, browbeats her, was clearly yelling over her during this interview, gropes her, puts his hands on her, like totally manhandles her, and it was just like so odd, like what is he doing? Like she's giving a live interview, and anyway, it's just like it was just totally out of character for what a politician and a housing minister should be doing. But yeah, again, I can't make sense of that, why he would do something like that. But this is, again, what we're dealing with. And you know what? I had respect for this guy up until then. I was like, yeah, this guy's he was like these outspoken politician. He didn't always agree with everything the party did. And I was like, he's kind of like down to earth. But like after seeing that, I'm just like, he's just like the rest of them. Like, can't control himself, runs out there, starts groping her. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. But I thought that was very out of line and very odd. Okay, so that's it for this week. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like, do you think Canada will ever become the 51st state? And if so, like, how long would it take? It would take a long time, I think, if they did. I personally don't think it's ever going to happen. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. And until next week, I'll see you then.